Stadium opener on September 2nd. You can have a chance to do that, too. We will play trivia again in the noon hour, so call in and be listening. You're going to have to be sharp. We learned it yesterday, Andy, that speed's a big factor in this. If you get in first in line, you only got to answer one question. So you have a chance to maybe just, end it on your own terms and get those tickets to U.S. Bank Stadium. We'll be playing later on in the noon hour, so keep your ears peeled.
Speed dial is your friend.
Speed dial is a friend. Epic Company's hotline, 701-476-1660. Those phone lines are open here for the first half hour. Got a lot to do. We're going to talk Trey Lance here in a second. Big news coming out of San Francisco. The 49ers naming Sam Darnold the clear-cut number 2 quarterback. Not number 1. Brock Purdy's going to start, but Trey on the outside looking in, as they say that he is third in the pecking order as far as the 49ers quarterback competition goes. We'll break down that in a little bit. Also coming on later on in the show, Larry Weir, Eastern Washington play-by-play man. He will join us at 11:30, give us a comprehensive look at the Eagles, the Week 1 opponent for NDSU in the season opener in Minneapolis. So Larry will give us all that we need to know about Eastern Washington as we are inside 10 days now from that game out of the Twin Cities. Also, Kyle Emanuel will join us. He will come on at noon. We'll have Kyle on, chop it up, also play a little buy or sell presented by Todd Cattermas at Beyond Realty. Here we are, fellas, Thursday, and Andy, you and I are once again twinning. I don't know if you saw it on our social media. Check out our Bison 1660 Twitter page. Check out our CNH Industrial Cam on our live stream on Facebook. But here we are. If you're watching, we've got the same gray, authentic brand NDSU polo on. And when you and I saw each other for the first time earlier this morning, we just both shook our heads because it's happened again for the second time in as many weeks.
I've only worn this shirt twice. I believe you've only worn that shirt twice, and both times we have worn it together.
It's literally, second time.
I blame authentic brand and Josh Hartman. That's who I blame.
Josh Hartman, our GM at Learfield, who hooked us up with these wonderful polos.
It's great stuff from Authentic Brand, but he made it too good. And we both wanted them, and now we both have them, and we have decided to wear them on the same day twice.
Yes, this wonderful gray polo. We wore them.
Everything.
It does, and I love gray. Gray is like my wardrobe. Like, that's my home uniform. You know, like not an alternate, not a road. Gray is what I go with. And here we are for the second time in almost as many weeks, because we wore these together at our Coffee with Coaches event last Wednesday. And it was kind of cute then, and it was a chuckle. And we're telling you guys, this was not planned. Here we are, 8 days later, both wearing this shirt for the second straight time together. I told you, Andy, this is the second time. We're on an 0-2 count. 3 strikes and you're out. If we do it again, we're going to have to just ban these shirts. We're going to have to throw them away for the rest of the season.
It's going to be a sacrifice to the football gods before the season, I think.
Yes.
If it happens for a third time. So.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for that.
But
maybe,
we can't tell each other when we're going to wear it either.
No.
Like, if it happens, it happens. You can't, like, hey, are you wearing it today? Yes. Okay, I'll take it.
And I almost texted you this morning. I almost did. When I went into the closet, I was like, there's no way, though, right? Mm-hmm. There's no way. And it did cross my mind, though.
I had just done the laundry. I'm like, I washed it. Maybe Sam hasn't yet. I should have figured, though, like, you got less stuff maybe in the rotation early on here, so it's going to cycle through a little bit more often. So I'll keep it probably a little further back in the rotation.
Sure. I've got a little less depth on my wardrobe right now. But anyway, good chuckle out of that. And also, before we get going, a big thank you to a couple of our listeners, Nick and Mary in Savage, Minnesota. They sent us some wonderful Sandy's Donuts into the studio this morning. We were chomping on those before the show. So a big thank you to Nick and Mary for the kind gesture. So wonderful, and the donuts were delicious, absolutely scrumptious.
They do this every year. They have been great with it. I even made a special request for some maple bacon long johns a few years back, and now they add 2 of those in there every single day. Obviously, everyone knows you can't resist a Sandy's donut, so they are our favorite listeners. That has nothing to do with the donuts. It has everything to do with where they are from, Savage, Minnesota, which is the best spot to be, because that was also my hometown.
Yes, repping it well. So shout out to Nick and Mary, shout out to Savage, and good donuts, which I ate way too many of, by the way. I'm kind of coming down from a sugar rush right now. So
show's going to be fun.
Yes, let's get this thing going. Little rubber match Thursday. Glad that you're here with us. 701-476-1660. If you want to chime in on our Epic Companies hotline, we start with Trey Lance, NDSU legend, former Walter Payton Award winner, former Jerry
It's the sugar.
It's the donuts.
Jerry Rice
it's
Award
the Jerry
winner.
Rice Award. I can't even pronounce things this morning. That's not good, guys. We got 9 days
That
until we're on the
glazed
air. Jerry Rice Award winner, NDSU legend, number 3 overall draft pick of the 2021 NFL Draft for the San Francisco 49ers, who shipped off 3 first-round picks in order to get up there and get him.
And a second.
All of Miami, and now we're at the point where 2 years later, you fast forward, this saga for Trey has hit one of its most significant turns yet. And that is with the Niners announcing that essentially they're going to put up the white flag and that he is a number 3 quarterback in their pecking order, with Brock Purdy being the starter, coming off of surgery in the offseason after getting hurt last year, former Mr. Irrelevant, former last pick of the 7th round for the Niners out of Iowa State, and Sam Darnold, who they brought in, a journeyman, former first-round pick as well, who you and I have talked about, Andy, has had every chance in his career and has obviously not panned out the way that everybody would have hoped, whether it be with New York or whether it be with Carolina. And here he is, Kyle Shanahan and company, announcing yesterday that he's going to be the number 2 and Trey on the outside looking in. He was not at practice yesterday. You and I both agree that we're probably not going to see him again in a 49er uniform. They've got one more preseason game against the Chargers coming up on Friday. What do you make of this circumstance for Trey Lance as the news came out yesterday?
Just crazy. And I've said all along that I don't think you can realistically go to Sam Darnold over Trey Lance. Just looking back on what Sam Darnold, who's first overall pick, right? First overall pick by the Jets a number of years back, never panned out there, couldn't take control of the football, couldn't keep the football, turned it over a bunch, goes to Carolina, gets beat out for that job, Baker Mayfield starting, and then Sam Darnold's there. He couldn't, again, turnovers were definitely the problem. He had one game where he had 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles in a game. Everyone says, and not everyone, there's people on, cover the San Francisco beat that we follow and we've talked to before that say, I think this decision's made much more about the floor than the ceiling. You don't need a backup that's got a high ceiling. You need a backup that's got a really high floor that when he goes in, you feel confident like he can get the job done. I don't know if Trey Lance's floor has ever been the floor of Sam Darnold's. I mean ever, other than maybe when Sam Darnold was the first overall pick. Like, the dude can't take care of the football. You can say all you want about, well, Kyle Shanahan's a wizard with quarterbacks, and Kyle Shanahan loved him coming out of the draft. He loved his arm talent. He's always been enamored with him. If that were the case, he would have gone and gotten him.
Exactly.
He would have gone and gotten him from the Jets last year then, if that were the case. He would have gone and done something else if that was really how he felt. But I get the feeling, and NFL coaches do this all the time, right? Oh, I can fix him. Oh, I'm the genius. He hasn't been with me. When I get a hold of him, he'll be fixed. Sam Darnold is, if Brock Purdy were to get hurt, I hope he doesn't, but if he were to get hurt, Sam Darnold is not going to come in and win a lot of games. I firmly believe that. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and he's in a great system, and Kyle Shanahan knows how to work that thing. He's got great people around him like Debo and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. That helps a ton, but I don't think Trey Lance's floor is the floor of Sam Darnold. I really don't. It's a shame that this has happened. I feel really bad for Trey. I mean, when you're drafted 3rd overall, you're thinking, okay, I've got my chance here. I'm gonna be given a chance. When you're a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th round pick, you're like, I might never see. I could look at Easton Stick. Might never really see the field. That's a realistic possibility in your career. But when you're a 3rd overall pick, you're saying, I'm gonna have a chance. There's no way I'm not gonna at least have a chance to make my career work. They invested, like you said, 3 first-round picks and a 2nd-round pick into Trey. They're gonna give him a chance. You basically have to. And last year was going to be his chance. He gets hurt. We know that. And for everyone that's saying, based off last year, you just can't trust Trey. He played in a monsoon in the first game. Like as close to a hurricane as Chicago's ever going to get. That was a torrential downpour.
Nobody had ever seen anything like that.
In Soldier Field, where the footing's already terrible at Soldier Field. And then he played in a drive, which they scored on, I believe, in game number 2, and got hurt. So, you can't take anything from last year and say, yep, that means we got to move on from Trey. You just can't. So I feel really bad for him that an injury took that chance that he was, you're guaranteed a chance when you're a 3rd overall pick. That took his chance away. And then, this is the sport of football. Injuries suck, injuries happen, and then Brock Purdy comes in and does what he does. All the credit to Brock Purdy on doing that, taking advantage of his opportunity. But you feel bad for Trey that his opportunity was taken away, and then essentially, I think his career in San Francisco is done. if I were him, I'd want to be traded because the longer you sit, if you sit all this year as a second or the third guy on the depth chart, or maybe one game they make him the backup or whatever they do to try and make him feel good, it's just another year you're not playing. I think he's got to go somewhere where he's at least the backup. It's hard to get traded to somewhere where you're the starter, quote unquote, but he's got to go somewhere where he's got a chance. I want him to have a chance to prove people wrong.
And at this point, why not take a flyer on him, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams. We went through a lot of them yesterday when we were talking about this, and even into today. There are so many teams around the league that why not just throw the roulette chip out there? Because it's going to be low risk at this point, and he's got the upside. We've seen, I mean, for gosh sake, the guy in the last weekend preseason game against the Broncos led a comeback victory and showed a little bit there.
Like 130 yards or something in a quarter?
I think it was like $170 almost.
I think he got 170. Led 2 great drives to bring them back. Yeah, he didn't start great, and that's been like a theme whenever Trey has played. It's like a slow start, but then it's more like he gets comfortable, gets in the game flow, and then he starts making great plays, great throws, fitting balls into tight windows. It's like, wow, he can make those throws. If you can see that more consistently, yeah, he's an NFL starter. So, and we've always talked about Trey Lance. He needs reps. That's all we've been hearing. He hasn't played that much in high school, college, and the NFL. He needs reps. Well, how do you get reps? By playing football.
He's 23.
Yeah, and that's why it's such a shame, the injury, and it makes you think before you get into the discussion, okay, what would be next? This is going to be a case study for years to come in the NFL. This is going to be looked at, the mismanagement of this and the investment that was made, and it's starting to be brought up this morning. You hear it on different programs and different people who are discussing this whole Lance scenario. Was it Shanahan that wanted him? That you're hearing Mac Jones was Mac Jones in that same draft class? Was it John Lynch? Who was on whose side? Who wanted what? Right, and that might have led to what we've seen today with not getting the playing time. Right, with not getting the chance. That's a real thing.
That was the story when the draft was happening. And to the 49ers' credit, not much has ever really gotten out from San Francisco. Even that draft of who do they want? There was rumors they wanted Mac Jones. There was rumors they wanted Trey Lance, but you felt like they were the one putting all those rumors out, so people didn't know who they actually wanted there. And I actually remember my Andy Rickoff foolproof mock draft. I had him taking Mac Jones, ironically enough. But yeah, so they've done a great job of keeping that stuff under wraps. But you've given up so much for him that you felt like he was going to have a chance at some point. I know Louis Riddick is one of the guys that's also been kind of saying stuff yesterday and today about the mismanagement. But to your point, it's going to be a great case study of, if Brock Purdy didn't turn into Brock Purdy. Let's say Brock Purdy comes in last year and he goes 500 or like a game better than 500. They go into the playoffs and they lose in the first round. I think Trey's your starter this year. Or there's a better chance that Trey could have been the starter. But with how good Brock was, it's just you have to go with him as a starting quarterback. So I kind of get that. But Louis Riddick had some thoughts on NFL Live yesterday just about the mismanagement of Trey Lance by the 49ers and everything they gave up for him.
We can just kind of really frame that in terms of the draft compensation that they gave up. To move from 12 to 3, they swapped picks in the first and 21. They gave up a first and 22, a first and 23, a second and 22. That's enough. That's enough said right there. Enough said. Now that same guy is now your third quarterback and now has lost his job to Mr. Irrelevant, lost his job to another former first-round pick that has now supplanted him as the number 2 quarterback, who, if you remember, we talked about in the offseason as someone that told me, don't be surprised if Sam Darnold flourishes in this offense. That's a huge miss, man, especially considering this. Remember before the 21 draft when there was a lot of speculation about who it was exactly that Kyle Shanahan was moving up from 12 to 3 to get? Remember all the talk about it being Mac Jones and then it switching to Trey Lance, and then there was a lot of speculation about internally there was disagreement about who the people wanted, who exactly wanted who, who did the coaches want versus who did the scouting department want. Well, this right now is going to be something that's going to be dissected internally in San Francisco. Because you cannot do that. I don't care what Brock Purdy has returned to you. You can't do that and not have some people have to answer for that.
I think that's a decent point. It kind of reminds me just slightly of the Vikings stuff, when they traded all the way back 2 drafts ago to the end of the first round with Detroit. Detroit trades up and drafts Jameson Williams. At the time, a lot of people hated it, and now people are saying, oh, well, Jameson Williams hasn't really turned out to be anything. Maybe it's looking like a better trade for the Vikings. And I say, I don't care what it turned out to be. It was the compensation. The compensation wasn't good for the Vikings. No matter what the players turn out to be, that's not a good decision. I think it's similar to you gave up 3 firsts and a second for Trey Lance to move up there to have the opportunity to draft him. It doesn't really matter that you drafted Brock Purdy in the 7th. That's great. That's phenomenal. Good get. Good find. But it still doesn't take away that you 3 firsts and a second. That is, and to their credit, they have still won.
Somehow.
They have found guys
away from the Super Bowl, yeah.
They have found guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. They've found Mr. Irrelevant. They've done a great job, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, which is why they have their jobs. But basically anybody else that whiffs on 3 firsts and a second, you're fired.
Yeah.
You're not going to be there. But they've won a lot. They're not going to get fired. It's just this is a basically unprecedented circumstance.
Which is why it's such a shame that he didn't get a chance, because it's what you illustrated earlier, Andy. The team around, I mean, a great defense, one of the best in the league. And you mentioned that system with the skill guys that they have, with Debo and Kittle and CMC and all those guys. You got a chance there, and you don't have much pressure. I mean, for gosh sake, Jimmy Garoppolo was basically one drive away, or really had a third quarter lead against Kansas City in the Super Bowl. I think it was 54, right?
He was one pass
away. He was 5 yards off from winning a Super Bowl by overshooting Emmanuel Sanders.
Yes, and then even in 21 against the Rams, if Jaquiski Tart doesn't drop a fly ball in center field for an interception, they're going back to another Super Bowl. So they had the roster. They had the roster, and the investment, unfortunately, doesn't pan out. And now Trey is going to have a chance elsewhere. He's not going to be in San Francisco anymore. You look at some of the teams that could trade for him. I got my list right here. The first one that we were talking about yesterday afternoon, Minnesota Vikings. It's to bring him back, a Minnesota kid. Kirk in a contract year right here. You've got a chance there. You've got, what about the Raiders? We just mentioned Jimmy G. If I'm the Vegas Raiders, why not?
Oh, if I had Trey Lance gets traded to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, my
again.
God.
Oh, gosh.
He's going to have to sit no matter where he's at. He's going to have to sit. But you take a flyer. You got Tampa. You got Seattle. Heck, even New England is a big year for Mac Jones coming up in New England. You've got Denver. What about the Broncos, Sean Payton? There is a myriad of teams where you could end up going with this if Trey has a trade destination.
Mentioned Seattle, I believe. Atlanta came to mind for me.
Atlanta, yep.
Basically, anyone that doesn't have like a super amazing quarterback or one of those guys they just drafted. Like Carolina's not. They got Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Like those teams aren't going for him. Obviously, the Bills, the Chiefs, they're not going to go and spend any capital on a backup quarterback. That's all he would ever be there. So, but I hope he gets a chance. I hope he has an opportunity somewhere. Again, to trade for him and expect him to start this year is probably unlikely. So that means he's sitting another year, and that's another year without playing snaps. So just obviously at this point for Trey, it's an uphill road. It is. It's uphill for his career, but that doesn't mean it can't be successful. I still believe he can go somewhere and succeed. You got to be given a chance, and it's got to be a team. Unlike the 49ers who are in Super Bowl or bust kind of mode, it's got to be a team that says, hey, kind of aren't that good. We can take some lumps. We can take the highs and the lows with them a little bit, and that's fine. We want to see if he can actually pan out. That's where I hope he ends up. I also had a quote here from Ian Rappaport that we can play in a little bit, too. But if you guys got any thoughts, feel free to call us up, 701-476-1660.
Yeah, we'll keep breaking this down. Trey Lance, future with the Niners, pretty much comes to an end as they name him the number 3 quarterback out there in San Francisco.
One more thing that kind of came to mind for me on it is I wasn't at practice yesterday. Maybe he's at practice today. We'll keep our eyes to that one. I know John Lynch said he expects Trey Lance to be there today, as I think they're doing a walkthrough, and then I think they're expecting him to play in the preseason
Chargers,
game. Yeah. Now, if he plays in the preseason game, is great. Maybe it builds value, but you're also risking injury. And there's a whole bunch of back and forth. We'll see what actually happens. One thing that's really interesting is the team that they are playing tomorrow. And I'm guessing they're doing some sort of joint practice with them, would be my guess, is the Chargers, who clearly have Easton stick.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be willing to bet you Easton and Trey have met up and talked and been like, hey, man, how's it going? Obviously this is tough for Trey right now. When you don't think you're going to ever be the third string quarterback when you're drafted 3rd overall, and this is not an easy spot, and it's probably really tough for him. I'm happy that the Chargers are the team that he's facing, and I'm sure him and Easton, and probably Carson too, but I'm sure him and Easton have had some good conversations since they were obviously teammates together here at NDSU.
That's a great point, and it's hard to believe that I believe it was 2 years ago when we had that preseason billboard game where Easton and Trey both played when it was Chargers-Niners. I think that was a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So We'll get to some of your phone calls about this on the other side. Sounds like Trey's going to be hitting the road from San Francisco, and we are hitting the road, too, on our Bison 1660 road tour. Many stops next week. Tuesday, we will be at Piggy Barbecue. Wednesday, we'll be at Barcode. Thursday, we're going to be at Shields, and on Friday at Applebee's. And all of our swag and apparel that we have on that road tour is thanks to our friends at CI Sport. 33 years and counting, CI Sport #1 in corporate, resort, collegiate, and high school apparel. Whether it's for work or play, every day is game day at CI Sport. They offer competitive pricing and fast turnaround times so you can work harder, play harder, and cheer harder in style. Visit CI Sport online at cisport.com. Your phone calls when we come back. It's the Insiders on a Thursday here on Bison 1660.
Where the Bison roam. Bison 1660.
We take great pride in really doing all the research and the work behind the scenes to make sure that our products just work.
We have our own staff member that helps pick the hybrids and the varieties that work in our area. It's meant for you, not for somebody 200 miles away.
We test our seed locally. We produce our seed locally, so we get to see our production fields, where they need to be, and if they work there.
Need seed, think ProSeed. ProSeed.net, great seed at a reasonable price.
Looking for the ultimate relaxation experience? Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Fargo will help you find your perfect hot tub. At Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Fargo, their staff is knowledgeable, and you'll always have personalized service. You won't be able to just see their wide variety of sizes and styles. You'll be able to sink into the full experience and try them for yourself. Plus, they have so many financing options, so owning a jacuzzi is more affordable than ever before. Stop by today and experience the jacuzzi difference, or go online at jacuzzihottubsoffargo.com.
Luther Family Ford works hard every day to give the community the best customer service in all their departments. The sales team is always ready to help, and they are delighted to have a great selection of new Ford trucks and SUVs on the lot. They invite you to stop by for a test drive. You'll enjoy working with the sales department, service department, and parts. Or, if you are thinking of selling your current vehicle, they will pay cash for it. Visit with their sales staff today or shop online, lutherfamilyford.com.
CNH Industrial delivers power, technology, and innovation to farmers, builders, and drivers all around the world, representing numerous people and brands. If you're looking to become a welder, CNH offers a 5 times a week paid welding training program. Starting pay while in training is $27.65 per hour. All positions are located at the Fargo CNH plant. To learn more or apply, text CNH to 21,000. That's CNH to 21,000. CNH Industrial is an equal opportunity employer.
Get out your lederhosen and drindle because the official Oktoberfest is back, presented by Goose Island Oktoberfest Beer, September 23rd in downtown Fargo.
Guten Tag, homies.
Kegs are tapped and ready at 3 p.m. Grab the Oktoberfest passport by the Bridges Apartments and a mug at any of the Oktoberfest official stops. Sports Bar, Rooters, Cowboy Jacks, Fort Knox, Old Broadway, Rough Cut Social, or Side Street.
I hope you'll all be attending Oktoberfest.
Make all the stops and then head to the Old Broadway for your exclusive Oktoberfest finisher medal. Grab your friends and see you there.
Living at the Bridges has been a great experience for me, and I'm inviting you to come check it out too. Hey, it's Cole Payton with the Bison football team. The Bridges has all-inclusive pricing. That means internet, cable, electric, water, everything is included in your 1 monthly payment. And don't forget about the private bathrooms. And it's right across from the football practice complex, so I can walk to practice. The amenities are insane. A great fitness center, outdoor courtyard with fireplaces, grills, and even a pizza oven, a cyber cafe, and an automated convenience store. Tour today to find out more. Online at bridgesnd.com.
Gearing up for another season of Bison football? We've got you covered each and every day on the Insiders on Bison 1660.
I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again. I was born for this, so I am not good of it.
Welcome back. It's the Insiders. Thursday, August 24th. 2023. Happy to be with you. Andy's dancing. Who sings that song? The Glory? Is that?
Oh, again, don't ask me who sings stuff. Lord? I'm gonna go Lord.
No, it's not Lord.
Oh, I
Come
tried,
on, man. I think it might be Kesha.
This is Macklemore right
It's
here.
Macklemore. And
With
is it Kesha?
Clearly.
No, not Kesha. Oh, man, I should know this. I'm going to search it up.
Right.
I have computers
Mike
back
is on
here.
it. Mike is on it. We'll get it. Playing a little song. Andy, I'm kind of disappointed. A little disappointed that
That's totally fine.
Lord is like alternative. Like that's a clear pop song. Right?
I could see Lord and Macklemore teaming up for a song, though.
Oh, I'm sure. Stranger things have happened. That's for sure. That would be quite a collaboration. But
I was just dancing because Matt Miller was on ESPN here in our First Western Bank Broadcast Center talking about the 2024 mock draft already for the NFL.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm going to start putting mine together.
yeah, dude, it's never too early.
Yep.
Never too early. A lot of good talent out there. The Tank for Caleb, or whatever you want to call it, Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Drake May from North Carolina is getting a lot of love. They've got Marvin Harrison Jr. as a number 2 pick right now. The wide receiver out of Ohio State, obviously Marvin Harrison's kid. So, and he's worth every penny in my opinion.
We say Skylar Gray.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, Skylar Gray.
Yeah, Skylar Gray.
Skylar Gray.
She's not
Okay.
going to be drafted, but she's the singer in that song "Glorious" with Macklemore.
Nicely done. I couldn't tell
Great
you if she's
Skylar
been on
Gray
any other
mind
hit.
over here.
Good one. Good one. Oh, gosh. All right, let's go to our Epic Companies hotline. Jim in Lemoore is on the line. Jim, good morning. How are you?
Well, it's a bittersweet day. As a Bison fan, I was disappointed when Trey decided to leave. It's one thing when you're going to an SEC school and you started for a year and had the success he had. But right now, or back then, he was playing in a conference in the FCS. Some of us, a lot of us, are hoping they move up to FBS just for better competition. He had a great year, and he's laughing all the way to the bank. Let's not forget that. But it was easy to see this coming. And as a former Niners fan, it makes me chuckle just a little bit, because back when Mr. Darnold came out as a sophomore, I said back then to myself that this is never going to work, and he hasn't. And now here he's getting it. He got put ahead of Trey, who came out too early. And if anything, about the only thing good that's going to come out of this is, I believe, in the draft process, is that some of these owners and GMs are going to start taking a much better look at the quarterback that they're willing to throw so much money at, and really start to wonder, are we making the right decision? You know, they come on strong after the combine. You know, Carson, it was the same with Carson. You know, he got blown up big, got the second pick, and I'm happy for him, and I'm hoping he can make a comeback this year. I hope Trey finds a different home and makes a comeback. But when you talk about the NFL and how they're going to dissect this, it's just that team, the Niners, have 2 people on their team right now who are both taken too early, and that's got to teach a lesson to somebody in the end. And it's unfortunate the way it turned out with the injury and whatnot. But even in that game against Chicago, and I know the weather was bad, I watched the game, but boy, his eyes were like deer in the headlights, and just the speed of the game, I think, caught up to him in that game. And I in my opinion, that's what they ultimately see, is that the speed of the game may be just as little too much. Now, I can tell you this much from when Trey was drafted. You guys wanted to know whose choice it was. The owner told them both to get it figured out. And this came from John Lynch in an interview. He said, we went to my office, sat down across from each other, took a piece of paper, and we both wrote down who we wanted to draft. And he said, I know what all the rumors were, but we both wrote down, and they both wrote down Trey Lance. So they were together on their decision.
Thanks, Jim.
At least that's John Lynch. Have a good one, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the call. I always appreciate Jim's take on it, because I know he still bleeds a little 49ers in his blood as well. So he was excited when Trey Lance went out there. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. And I think it is a good point that is made there about, you know, when Trey was getting drafted, that hype came out of kind of nowhere. You know, we all thought, man, we got another one. We got Trey's here. 2019 was amazing. We're thinking he's going to be here for at least 2 more years. Maybe he leaves a year early, but nothing more than that. And then it came out of nowhere, and it shot up so quickly that he had to go. And I get why you go. If you're being told you're going to be a first-round pick in the NFL and a top 5 pick, you got to go.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to go, because you can't risk injury, and then that, you know, plummets you down the draft board and everything like that. And it takes away like I said before, if you're a first-round pick, you have an automatic chance. You're going to be given a chance at some point. So you want that opportunity. So he had to go. But I was saying it then, I'll say it now, man. I think a year would have served him really well. Another year and that year was taken away by COVID. He was supposed to have another year. That was supposed to happen. He was going to. But COVID took that away. So I thought another year, with Randy Hedberg, seeing more defenses do different things to him and more pictures would have been really beneficial for him. But he had to go when he's being told that's what's going to happen for your crew. You got to go for it. Unfortunately, I think he probably could have been served better by another year, and I think there are a lot of quarterbacks that could have been served better by an extra year. We see guys come out. Joe Burrow, he was in college for a long time. I know only a couple of years at LSU, but he was in college
Burrow was
for
a one-year wonder, man.
Yeah.
2018 Joe Burrow was as mediocre as it gets. That LSU, and a lot of it is testament to Joe Brady. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of what-ifs with this.
And I think a lot of times we get enamored, or scouts get enamored, and we as fans do too. Man, he's really big. Man, he's really fast. Man, he's really tall. Man, he's got a really strong arm. Gotta go back to the quarterback position. It's always going to be about, can you take a 3-step drop? Can you put your foot in the ground and deliver something on time, accurately, and how fast can you process the game? I don't care how good of an athlete you are. You got to be able to play the quarterback position as it was originally intended to at some point. You can get away with running. You can get away with all that kind of stuff. The athletic ability definitely helps, but you got to be able to play the quarterback position too.
Strong take. Good stuff there from Jim. Appreciate him calling in our Epic Companies hotline. We're going to step aside, going to bring in Larry Weir, Eastern Washington play-by-play voice. He will preview the Eagles with us when we return. Plus, Kyle Emanuel in the noon hour, buy or sell, and a little Bison football trivia coming up later in the show. A chance for you to win tickets at U.S. Bank Stadium on September 2nd. Much more to come on The Insiders.
You're listening to The Insiders on your home for NDSU sports. Bison 1660.
Your vehicle is likely one of your biggest assets and certainly your ultimate connection to freedom, so it needs to be kept in tip-top shape. And Jiffy Lube of Fargo will make it happen. With no appointment needed, just drive into any of the 3 convenient Fargo locations for their signature service oil change, which includes a check of all your vehicle's vital fluids and an inspection of other preventative maintenance items to ensure you're ready to hit the road. For over 40 years, locally owned Jiffy Lube of Fargo has been the place that Fargo Moorhead has counted on to keep them on the road.
Attention, attention! Are you a plumbing journeyman or apprentice? We want you! The region's fastest growing heating, cooling, and plumbing contractor, Valley Service Mechanical, is looking for journeymen and apprentices, and we're hiring immediately. We offer competitive pay, incentives, and a fun team to work with. If you're not happy where you're at, we'll make it worth your time to check out why you should join the Valley Service Mechanical team. It's easy to apply online today at valleyservice.net. Just click the red banner. That's valleyservice.net.
When it comes to a diamond, we let you choose. Hi, I'm Aaron at Wimmer's Diamonds. From natural to lab-grown diamonds, we carry all the options our industry has to offer. Our team of experts is here to help you pick the perfect shape, size, color, and cut of diamond, along with the perfect ring mounting for your engagement or anniversary. We also offer the area's largest selection of finished jewelry. When you're ready to give the gift of sparkle, stop by and see us at Wimmer's Diamonds, 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
Gateway Nissan announces $10,000 off new Nissan Titans for qualified buyers, plus 0% financing up to 60 months. That's right, 0% financing up to 60 months and a $10,000 rebate on new Nissan Titans. Maybe you want a luxury four-wheel drive vehicle? Then get to Gateway Nissan and check out the Nissan Armada. Save $8,600. How about a sporty new Nissan Kicks SR with great fuel economy and lease payments just $249 a month? Gateway Nissan, they have your next vehicle. Details FargoNissan.com.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Today is going to be sunny skies, a high near 87 degrees, a light north wind 6 to 10 miles per hour. And later tonight, you'll see partly cloudy skies, a low around 65, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms after 1 a.m.
This weather update brought to you by Feed My Starving Children. Make history in 2024. Get your employees involved with Feed My Starving Children Fargo Pack when it moves to the Fargo Dome. It's a great team-building event. Learn more at fargopack.org. When it's time to find a realtor, word of mouth is important. And Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty is a name Bison Nation says often. Todd has helped everyone from former coaches and administrators to broadcasters and former players and their families buy homes in the FM area. So many in Bison Nation trust Todd to buy and sell their homes, and you can too. Call Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty today or visit him at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty. Moving the herd, one home at a time.
Whether it's the FCS, NFL, or productivity at work, we have you covered.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice.
but we did.
It's the Insiders on Bison 1660.
I do know this one. Blinding Lights or
The Weekend.
Weekend, yeah. Super Bowl 50 whatever performer. I forget who was even.
Tampa Bay and Kansas City
Kansas
Chiefs.
City, yeah, the COVID Super Bowl.
51.
That was not a great performance, by the way, in my opinion. I did
That was
not like that.
55.
I did not like that halftime show.
I didn't like it either.
I liked the blinding lights part where he was in like the maze or like the mirror maze or whatever.
It just turned into a meme.
It
That's
was a
exactly
meme.
all it
There's
turned
always
into.
a good meme
It's a
that
good
comes
meme.
out from the Super Bowl after. There was a Justin Timberlake meme for the U.S. Bank one.
He was great.
And then there was Rihanna this past year announcing her pregnancy.
Yeah.
Which
One
was
way to
out of
announce it.
nowhere. Out of nowhere.
She was phenomenal too.
Oh, it was. How could you not? Great
The
stuff
best
there.
one though was what was it? Just a couple years ago. Was it 50 Cent and Jay-Z and
the Snoop Dogg one.
Snoop
The
Dogg,
California.
Everybody.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
there.
yeah. That
Dr.
was-
Dre was I guess kind of
Dr.
the
Dre.
headliner of it. Mhm.
But that was when 50 Cent was like hanging from the rat. That was like
Yeah.
that was the meme that came out of that one too. Yeah, you never know with the Super Bowl halftime. I don't even know who it is this year. Have they announced it?
I'm sure they have.
Micah, you might have to.
I thought they had the announcement, and I forgot it. But I know Taylor Swift turned it down.
Yes, Taylor Swift
She
did
did.
turn it down. I'll figure it.
She did. Bill Belichick probably not happy with that. Anyway, let's go to our Epic Companies hotline. We've got Larry Weir, Eastern Washington play-by-play voice on the line with us. Larry, nice to meet you here on the air. Sam and Andy with you. It's hard to believe that we are 9 days away from this season kicking off in Minneapolis. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, anytime, guys. Pleasure to be here. And yeah, it is. It's coming quick, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right around the corner.
Larry, who would you like to be the halftime performer for the Super Bowl in 2024? You could pick one.
Oh, you know what? I'm old enough to where I remember when they didn't have a halftime performer at the Super Bowl. So if they wanted to go back to that again, I'd be just perfectly fine with that.
Perfect. I like it.
I did not know that there. I guess it just goes to show, growing up in an era, I did not know that there was an era where there wasn't halftime entertainment. How about that, Larry? Looking at Eastern Washington, give us a little update on how camp's gone so far for the Eagles throughout this month of August. What are the headliners as these guys gear up for the 2023 year?
Well, I think the main thing is just it's the unknown around this program at this point in time. You're coming off a 3-8 season, which was their first losing year since 2006. It's not something that happens very often around here. You've got a lot of new faces that are going to have to step in this year. You've got a bunch of new assistant coaches. You've got you return both coordinators on each side of the ball, but will there be changes within what each side does? Eastern has been known over the last 20 years of being a very freewheeling offense, throwing the ball a lot, putting up wild offensive numbers. Will they change this year to be something different on offense? Because you've got a defense that at the very least, in my opinion, is lacking experienced depth. So do you do something to try to help the defense out? Is there going to be a change in how they approach defense? Will there be a change in how they approach offense? I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this team plays in 2023 on each side of the ball, and if there are significant differences from what they've done in the past.
Larry, I appreciate your time here joining us. I know we had talked about things with you, I don't know, a month or so ago about what this team was looking like going in to fall camp. Has there been anyone that's really kind of taken the team by storm here over these last couple of weeks with fall camp and being underway? Anyone that's kind of surprised you that maybe came out of nowhere at all?
I don't think there's been too much of a surprise as far as an individual player who's really stepping up and taking a bigger role than what maybe some people thought they'd have. It looks like Kekoa Vesperis is going to be the quarterback, which was the expected situation coming into this season. He's a dynamic player, but he doesn't have a whole lot of experience as the starter, just one game in. I think he played in 5 games total last year, mostly in mop-up duty when he got into the game. I don't think there's been anyone in the receiving core that I would say has, gone from being maybe their 6th or 7th option to being their 3rd or 4th option. I think pretty much players on the offensive side of the ball have performed as you would expect. On defense, it's just going to be interesting to see how all the young depth pieces, who is going to be the backups at safety, let's say, or who's going to be the backups at defensive end, who's going to be the people on the defense at the defensive tackle position who step in. A name that I had somehow not remembered, or it fell through my vision of things these days, is a linebacker that came in out of Bucknell, a guy named Ben Allen, who was an All-Patriot League player, second-team All-Patriot League. He's come in and helped really solidify things at linebacker. Linebacker is the position on defense where Eastern probably has the most experienced depth. He's been somebody that I didn't even know was in town. I was watching one of the practices. Who the hell's that guy? And, well, that's the guy that came in from Bucknell. And I said, we had a guy come in from Bucknell? I had no idea.
Yeah.
So that probably, I guess, for me, would be the name of somebody that I wasn't aware of, who now is somebody I need to be aware of.
I do like how on the roster online, goeags.com, that they have the classes. You get junior, got redshirt, sophomore, senior. They have super senior on there as well for some guys on the roster online, and Ben Allen is one of them, that transfer in from Bucknell, 6'1", 232 at the linebacker position. And that's what everyone focuses on with the Eastern, right? We know the offense, or we assume the offense is going to be pretty good. You got some great receivers. Efton Chisholm is phenomenal. You got a whole host of them. I think we assume that Vesperis might have some growing pains, might have a bump in the road here or there, but he's going to be pretty decent for him. They've had a long line of pretty good quarterback play. It comes down to defensively, and I know they brought in a bunch of transfers. They brought in some different pieces there. Just what does that defense look like in your eyes here, just over fall camp, and what are the expectations for it from the coaching staff?
Well, this is part of the reason why I'm wondering how Eastern is going to play on offense, because over the years they haven't cared how long they've had the football. If they're scoring 50 points a game and they have it for 22 minutes and the opposition has it for 38, they didn't care. They scored 50 points. They may not have scored 50 points had they tried to do something different with the football. But this year you've just got a defense that, as I've said, does not have the experience depth. Last year there's 123 FCS football teams. Eastern was 123rd in rushing defense per game. They were 123rd in rushing yards allowed per carry. They were 122nd in total defense, and they were 121st in scoring defense. Those numbers have to improve, and improve dramatically, especially in the rushing defense. Eastern was last in the nation by roughly 30 yards a game allowed in running the football last year. They can't. Can they make the jump to get to cut that in half, or even cut it to 160 yards? You're playing 7 of the top 27 rushing offense teams from last year, plus number 41 in Idaho, plus Fresno State, who's a successful FBS team. So that's 9 teams that can run the ball pretty effectively. And if you gave up 290 last year, can you give up 160 this year? I don't know whether that's possible. And so then what becomes an effective number there? Is 180 an effective number for Eastern offensively to be able to overcome? Is 200 an effective number? I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how much this defense can improve, and that's why I'm wondering whether there may be a slight shift in the offense this year, because when Eastern has wanted to run the football and look like North Dakota State over the last 5 or 6 years, they've been able to do it. 2017, Eric Berrier's first start at North Dakota. They go in there, win a very un-Eastern-like game, 21-14. They run it for roughly 260 yards and throw it for 130. They didn't look like Eastern. Last year when Vesperis made his first start against Northern Colorado, albeit against a bad defense, they ran the ball 45 times, threw it 23, scored 42 points, won the game, 45 points actually, won the game easily. In 2018, after Gubrud got hurt, Berrier came in. He had the start in his back pocket from 2017, but still, early on in 2018, they didn't completely turn him loose. They ran the ball more than they threw it in several of these games early on. So Eastern has been able to run the football when they put their mind to it in past years. That's why I'm really interested to see what they decide to do this year. Will they do that, or will they be the same old Eagles that throw the ball 40 times, run the ball 30 times, and try to have the big plays on offense?
Yeah, certainly going to be on NDSU's defensive staff's mind as well as we gear up for the season opener here, Larry. Larry Weir, Eastern Washington play-by-play voice, joining us here on the Insiders. I want to shift it back to offense for a second, too. You mentioned the quarterback situation, an all-timer in Eric Barrier. You had the luxury of having him for 4 years, sets all kinds of school at Big Sky records. Last year, Gunnar Talkington at quarterback, and you mentioned Keikova Vesperis. He's going to be the guy this year. Inexperienced, as you mentioned, Larry. Give us a little sense on what the off-season development was for him. He started in that regular season finale that you referenced. What kind of player could he be in what has been a long-standing tradition of a lot of great quarterbacks that have come through the Eastern Washington program?
Well, the guy they compare him to is Vernon Adams. He's got a lot of similar traits. He's similar size. He probably runs better than Vernon. People always thought Vernon was this great running quarterback, but he stayed in the pocket or stayed behind the line of scrimmage looking to create plays. He didn't take off and run that often. When he did, he was dynamic doing it, but he wasn't a Barrier. Barrier looked to run a little quicker probably than Vernon did. And Vesperis will look to run probably a little quicker as well than what Vernon did. But the guy that they've always likened him to is Vernon Adams in his personality, in the way that he plays the game. And so if he can come anywhere close to where Vernon Adams was at Eastern's going to have themselves another guy in the line of very good quarterbacks that have played here and guys that are Walter Payton Award candidates. And we'll just see how quickly this year he gets to that level. If he gets to that level this year, this may be another year progression for him before he really hits his stride and becomes that type of a quarterback. We'll see how he does this year, but he's a very talented guy, and when you're running the read option, it always helps when the quarterback's willing to keep the ball when he sees the end crashing, and I think that's going to be the difference between last year's offense and this year's, is Keikoa will keep the ball if the end is crashing.
Larry, what was it like watching Cooper Kupp at Eastern Washington, out of curiosity?
Tremendous. I mean, he's a guy that I've said it all the time whenever I've been asked about him. As great as he was on the field, he was equally great off the field, and just what he brought to the program, just in work ethic. When your best guy is your hardest worker, that really raises the level for everybody in the locker room, everybody in the weight room to reach his level, because if he's out there working that hard and he's the best player, then that means I need to redouble my efforts in order to keep up with this guy. And he just was a very obviously a tremendous player on the field. He worked so hard to get every drop of capability out of his body, every drop of talent out of his body, and so he's a guy you can root for very easily because of the person that he is. And it was, we've seen some good receivers at Eastern. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that we had not seen a Cooper Kupp prior to Cooper, and we will not see a Cooper Kupp after Cooper. There's a guy down at the University of Idaho who's a pretty good knockoff of Cooper Kupp in Hayden Hatton, and he's fun to watch as well. And I suppose if I was watching him on a regular basis, I'd say, well, that guy's about as close as you're going to get to a Cooper Kupp, both on the field and off. Efton Chisholm is a little bit like Kupp. He's 4 inches shorter and 30 pounds lighter and not quite as fast, but he's that type of guy that works incredibly hard, very humble off the field as well, and just a guy that I always said with Cooper, if your daughter brought Cooper home, you wouldn't have a worry about her for the rest of her life, because he was going to handle the job, and you knew that there wasn't going to be any shenanigans going on with a guy like that. So that's, I think, probably what I can, maybe the thing that I can say best about Kupp, and whether it's a Chisholm or the little bit I've been around Hayden Hatton, those are the types of guys that if your daughter was going to marry them, you'd be super happy about that.
That's definitely one way to put it. Larry Weir here with us, the play-by-play voice for Eastern Washington. Obviously, NDSU takes on Eastern Washington September 2nd, U.S. Bank Stadium, to kick off this season. And it's a fun one because, obviously, it's U.S. Bank Stadium. It's the Vikings' home field. Is just named by The Athletic the best venue in the NFL as well, which has been, I think, 2 or 3 years in a row now for U.S. Bank Stadium. But it's also because the matchup is great, and it's Eastern Washington. And I know our fans, Larry, they still, obviously, it's SDSU and UIndy. Those are the big rivals. UNI's thrown in there, too. I think after that, though, in terms of non-conference opponents who are at the FCS level, Eastern's got to be up there for our fans when we talk about, non-conference rivals. It was JMU, but they have, since moved on to the FBS level. So, our fans still care about this one. 2010, the loss. We've got some wins in the playoffs as well. We've had multiple great games in the regular season, too. So, I'm very much looking forward to it from a fan base perspective. What does the fan base for Eastern think about matchups with NDSU when those two teams are brought up together?
I think Eastern fans, I think for the most part, the Eastern Washington fans are similar to the athletic department in that they love playing the top teams that they can play at the FCS level, whether it's in North Dakota State, whether it's Northern Iowa, whether it's Southeastern Louisiana this year. It starts a 2-year series with Eastern, with those teams playing in Cheney this year and then Hammond, Louisiana next year. Eastern has always had the mentality of we'll play anybody anywhere at any time, and North Dakota State has that same mentality. They're willing to play anybody, anytime, anywhere, as witnessed this year by playing Eastern in Minneapolis. I think it's a great thing for both programs and their players to be able to play in an NFL stadium. Now, this will actually be the 5th NFL stadium Eastern has played in. And 3 of them have been in fairly recent years. They played at what's now Lumen Field in Seattle on a couple of occasions, once against Central Washington University, the other time against Portland State. They played 2 years ago at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the Raiders Stadium, against UNLV. Now they play here. Back in 2003, I think it was, they played at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, the Chargers' old home field, against San Diego State. And back in 1990, they played against the University of Houston in the Astrodome. So this is something that Eastern has done over the years. I think it's something that's very special to the players when they have an opportunity to do that. I'm guessing it's a recruiting, a good check for the recruiting part of things to be able to say, hey, we're playing, these guys and we're playing them in Minnesota this year. I think Eastern's fans love playing North Dakota State. They know the high bar that has been set by North Dakota State. And can you live up to that? And we're, 9 days away from finding out.
Yeah, no question about it, Larry. I think it's going to be an awesome venue and just a great game day experience for both fan bases once we get down to the Twin Cities. I love hearing the history. I wanted to ask about 2010. Andy referenced it earlier, famous playoff game between these two programs that Eastern Washington wins and then ends up going on to win the national championship game. How about a little bit about that national championship win over Delaware? I remember I had a Delaware game in December, and I remember getting ready for that game and watching a little bit of the 2010 title. And that game was, nip and tuck, came down to the final drive. How about that game for a second, the first one in Frisco and an Eastern Washington national title?
Yeah, that was a crazy game, as was the North Dakota State game, in the second round of the whole thing. The thing that sticks out in the Delaware game is that Eastern was down 19-0 late in the third quarter and came roaring back, and then there was a play where Eastern had a first down, and then the chains moved, and then the officials decided, well, maybe it wasn't a first down, and they had to try to move the chains back, and they measured, and Eastern barely had the first down, but Delaware and Casey Keeler was upset because how do you put the chains back when they had already moved? And it was craziness, like the North Dakota State game. Is it a fumble? Wasn't it a fumble? The Villanova situation in the semifinals where they didn't have Matt Caesar. What type of a team would that have been had Caesar played in that game? He was Villanova's star running back or slot receiver. They did a lot of things with him that year. Eastern had a lot of breaks in that 2010 season to win a national championship with some of the disappointments they've had, whether it was against Towson, where a ball was just off Cooper Kupp's hands that would have won the ball game, or the game against Youngstown State in 2016, and what was Kupp's last game, where the Youngstown State tight end pins the ball to the back of Cooper's brother, Kettner Kupp, who was a linebacker. They both fall to the ground. The ball never hits the ground. The tight end's got the ball on Kupp's back in his possession. Touchdown, Youngstown State. They win on the last play of the game. So we used up a lot of karma in 2010, I think, to get that national championship. I think Eastern will take that national championship in 2010. But it was a great ride. It's been a lot of fun over the years in which I've been doing the games, and looking forward to the start of the season, and hopefully there's more fun in the in the 2023 season to come.
I love it. It's coming, man. We will see you next Saturday at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. All the best to you and the rest of the team as you guys travel out here, get here safe. But we appreciate the time, Larry. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Our pleasure. Larry Weir, Eastern Washington Eagles play-by-play voice, joining us on our Epic Companies hotline. Good to catch up with him, go down memory lane a little bit. A lot of history between these two programs, two proud traditions in the FCS ranks, and they will do battle in just 9 days at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. We'll have a chance for you to win tickets to that game. We're giving away another pair later today, playing Bison football trivia. Listen in our second hour and be ready to call in. If you're the early bird, you might just get the worm. All you got to do is answer one multiple-choice trivia question, and you will be on your way to the Twin Cities to watch the Bison kick off the 2023 season. Kyle Emanuel joining us in the noon hour. Coming up next, much more to do here on The Insiders on a Thursday.
Your vehicle is likely one of your biggest assets and certainly your ultimate connection to freedom. So it needs to be kept in tip-top shape. And Jiffy Lube of Fargo will make it happen. With no appointment needed, just drive into any of the 3 convenient Fargo locations for their signature service oil change, which includes a check of all your vehicle's vital fluids and an inspection of other preventative maintenance items to ensure you're ready to hit the road. For over 40 years, locally owned Jiffy Lube of Fargo has been the place that Fargo Moorhead has counted on to keep them on the road.
Cullen Insulation is dedicated to quality from start to finish, so you have nothing to worry about all year long when it comes to your residential or commercial project. As your local Owens Corning certified energy expert, Cullen Insulation will help make your home quiet, comfortable, and energy smart. Simple home insulation solutions that improve the way you live every day. Cullen Insulation, online at culleninsulation.com. That's culleninsulation.com.
Got inflammation? Hyperbaric Oxygen can help. My name is Menli with Healing with Hyperbarics off of 45th Street here in Fargo. We have been using 100% oxygen to treat inflammation for 5 years with amazing results. Chronic pain, concussions, sports injuries, post-COVID, and more. You don't have to accept your current symptoms as a new normal. There are other treatment options available. Hyperbaric Oxygen helps treat inflammation naturally. Visit our website for more information, healingwithhyperbarics.com.
Another season of Bison football is upon us, Bison Nation, and you can count down to kickoff of Week 1 versus Eastern Washington with us on our website, Bison1660.com, courtesy of the Bud Light Countdown Clock. The Bison are looking to get back on top of the Missouri Valley Football Conference and be crowned champions of the FCS for their 10th time in school history. And nothing goes better with Bison football than a nice cold Bud Light. Join us in getting ready for the 2023 season of Bison football with Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bison. It's almost time for the Western Minnesota Steam Threshers reunion in Rolog, Minnesota. Join them Labor Day weekend, September 1st through the 4th for an exciting and fun-filled weekend for the whole family. This year honoring veterans and our military with military equipment. Enjoy 2 parades daily, plus horsepower demonstrations, ladies activities, vintage style shows, kids activities, and more. Labor Day weekend, September 1st through the 4th in Rolog, Minnesota. For more information, visit rolog.com.
Hey, business owners, when it's project time, you've got your plumber, you've got your electrical guy, but do you have your window guy? Now you do. Dabtech Window Services. Dabtech is your local door and window expert. Do you have a cracked window? Maybe your windows fog up and create too much condensation. Or maybe you just want new, big, and beautiful clear windows or doors. Dabtech can custom create whatever you need. Top-rated products with experienced technicians that do it right the first time. Dabtech, a decade of service with a century of experience. Online at dabtechwindowservices.com.
CNH Industrial delivers power, technology, and innovation to farmers, builders, and drivers all around the world, representing numerous people and brands. If you're looking to become a welder, CNH offers a 5 times a week paid welding training program. Starting pay while in training is $27.65 per hour. All positions are located at the Fargo CNH plant. To learn more or apply, text CNH to 21,000. That's CNH to 21,000. CNH Industrial is an equal opportunity employer.
Gateway Chevrolet's lot is loaded with new Chevy Silverados. Stop by and take a test drive and find out how you can save $7,250 on a new Chevy Silverado at Gateway Chevrolet. The new Silverados are more versatile, more powerful, plus the best-looking truck with more technology and safety benefits than any other truck in the market. So head over to Gateway Chevrolet and save $7,250 on a new Silverado with trade, only at Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB West Fargo, KPFX HD3 Kindred, and K224FD Fargo. Bison 1660, powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
Bison Park, everything we do. This one's for you, Corso, wherever you are. Give me that Bison.
This is the Insiders on Bison 1660, covering the world of NDSU sports like no other.
North Dakota State advances to the round of 32. Touchdown, Bison!
The Insiders are presented by Proseed. Need seed? Think Proseed. Welcome to your green and gold HQ for the Bison. The Insiders on Bison 1660 starts now.
Alrighty, here we go. Hour number 2 of the Insiders. Rubber Match Thursday. We will have day 3 of our Bison football trivia contest coming up later this hour, so keep those ears sharp. Remember, early bird might get the worm. Yesterday it worked for Sam in Fargo. He won day 2 of our trivia contest. First guy up, 1 shot, 1 kill. He gets it done, and he is going to U.S. Bank Stadium on September 2nd for the season opener, and that could be you. We'll have a little Bison trivia coming up later in this hour. Sam, Andy, and Kyle here with us in studio. Kyle Emanuel joins us. Mike Bindi on the board as well. Good to see you, Kyle. Welcome on in. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me once again, guys. It's been fun to listen, but it's also fun to be involved as well. So I have to say, I have to at least give my 2 thoughts on the trivia on Tuesday. I was listening. Was phenomenal. I was honored to be one of the answers, by the way, Sam. So I had to let you know that one. Unfortunately, I don't think the contestant got it correct. That was a little bit of a tough one. Micah was back here. You guys were gone. I was here. Micah was telling me he knew all of them, apparently. But either way, that was phenomenal radio. So I'm looking forward to another edition coming up later
tackles
today.
for a loss.
It was
right?
tackles for loss. Yeah. And what was it, 58.5, I think?
I don't even
know.
know.
You don't even know?
No, I don't know.
Humble man.
I would have not got that one right.
I wouldn't have guessed you either. One trick pony, not fluid hips.
Uh-oh.
Throwback.
He's opening up that box.
Throwback.
That will never go away. That was a draft profile thing we did.
Yeah. So I've heard. We're gonna put together a rejoin for you starting next week when we have you on here weekly, and that might make an appearance in there. We'll have to see if I can find it in the archives. But yeah, no, that was fun. That was fun with the trivia, and I think the listener ended up going Phil Hansen there, which was kind of
a good
trick.
guess.
It was a trick. When you're doing the multiple choice, you got to kind of give one or the other that you think might go for it.
The multiple choice was it almost threw you off a little bit. You know, it's easier, right? Because you can eliminate, or you can at least have some options in your mind there a little bit. But there was I think the last question you did on Tuesday was like the leading passer at NDSU. I was like, I'm 90% sure it's Easton, but if you threw Brock Jensen in there, I might have questioned myself because they both played a lot of football. I'm pretty sure it's Easton. But there was no Brock. I believe you eliminated that one.
Yeah, I threw him a bone.
So then I was like, okay, it's got to be Easton.
Yeah, I think Easton broke it in his last game in the national championship game, or one of the last games. He only has that by a couple, not even 100 yards, if I'm not mistaken. If we look up the number, he's in the 8,000 somewhere, but Brock is right behind him by like just a game's worth of passing yardage. So yeah, we'll play a little trivia later, and we got some good ones up the sleeve. We were playing a little earlier yesterday, Micah and I, and Micah got one. That's actually going to be the leadoff question today. It's a tricky one, so we'll keep that in the back pocket. But make sure you call in, 701-476-1660. That's the number if you want to write it down and get ready to jump on those phone lines. Not now, but it was hot yesterday. The lines were jumping, and we only got one winner. But we do have 2 more pairs to give away. So we will have that coming up later in the show.
By the way, you were correct. He has him by 95 yards.
There it is.
8,693 to 8,598 for Brock.
Wow. And it came in that national championship game, which Easton was not the most outstanding player for. We talked about that. That was one of the lead trivia questions. It was actually Darius Shepard surprisingly, even though Easton accounted for like 5 total touchdowns in that game and rushed for a few, threw for a couple more. Darius Shepard, who went over 100 yards, had a couple of touchdowns, including 2 back-to-back in the third quarter, ended up getting most outstanding player. It's always interesting, the MVP or most outstanding player debate of a Super Bowl, and that one you could definitely kind of go 50-50 on. You could make an argument for both, but I think Easton probably would have been the choice there.
I would have missed that one for sure. That was, I believe, that was your first question on Bison Trivia. I thought for sure it was Easton. I believe he won it the year before with the disgusting mustache. I believe I remember seeing him up on stage. I thought that was the same year. Honestly, I kind of thought he won both. I forgot about Darius Shepard in that game winning it, so that one would have thrown me off for sure.
Yeah, it was a trick one. So there's a lot to do with this Bison football program. That's why we've got a great batch of trivia questions for us. Kyle Emanuel with us in our First Western Bank Broadcast Center. We're 9 days away, man, from kicking this thing. Are you ready to go? You'll be in the booth for WDAY season opener. Are you getting prepped up? Like, where are you at on this?
I'm starting to, yes. I know. I mean, the advantage, obviously one of the huge advantages, there's been a lot of advantages and a lot of good things about doing the show for so long. But one is I feel very good about the NDSU football team, following them, even when I was playing, but really, covering them the last 3 or 4 years. But it's always interesting the first game, and this as a broadcaster, Sam, like, especially when it's Eastern Washington. Now they don't have a new head coach. Aaron Best has been there for a while, but they're coming off a shaky year. A team that's historically very good, a new quarterback. So it's always about learning the opponent. And when it's the first game of the year, I mean, you can go back a year ago, you can watch film on them, but what are you going to learn? Things might look different. So the prep is definitely I wouldn't say it started in full yet, but we're getting there. Feel good about the NDSU team, and we'll continue to learn more about Eastern Washington as we go.
It's like install week. You still got to get it installed.
That's right.
Yeah,
well, especially with Eastern, we got a new quarterback. Some new stuff on offense, but mostly it's the defense. They bring in a lot of different players. They're changing things up. Maybe the scheme might change too. So, the defense might look a whole lot different than the tape you watched from just a year ago.
Well, and we were talking with Larry there too. I mean, they gave up 500 yards a game last year, and the worst in the country against the run. That's music to the Bison's ears. I mean, that is music to NDSU's ears for sure. But it will be interesting if they do change up their offensive dynamic. I wanted to ask you about that. This is a team with a principle of tempo. We've seen teams like that before. Look at the playoff run last year. Your first 3 opponents, Montana, Sanford, and Incarnate Word, all run that tempo style of offense, and then you get back to a little more smash mouth once you get to the national championship in South Dakota State. As a defensive player, and if you're in the shoes of the NDSU defensive staff, what's the approach to slowing that down? Because there are certain things that you got to hit in order to kind of take them out of their rhythm with that.
Yeah, and I know Jason Petrino touched on this a little bit with you guys yesterday. It's really, kind of narrowing down the game plan a little bit. Not so much from the entire perspective, but when let's say, okay, they get a first down, they get another first down, they start rolling, you have to be on point with, who am I looking at to get the signal and who's communicating that. That is a nice thing about signaling, and we didn't do that in the NFL because you had the microphone. But everyone can get the play call immediately, and the D-line can see. Usually, it's like the first part, and they're ready to go. They're locked in, and they can go. But it's really simplifying. And I know it almost sounds too simple, but can you get everyone on the same page in a short amount of time? Can you? Because that's half the battle, right? If you make the argument sometimes of football, if all 11 are wrong, then you're right. As long as everyone's on the same page, even if you're running not what's called, at least if you can get something in and all 11 people know the play call, that's half the battle sometimes. The other thing, and you could say this no matter who you're playing, if they're up-tempo, even if they're not, get off the field. I mean, that's the biggest defense against an up-tempo field. If you can get the offense to get a quick 3 and out or force a couple turnovers, now NDSU comes on the field and they have a 6-7 minute drive. That's how you wear teams out. And that's where NDSU has had success going back to when I played or even before, of when these up-tempo teams come in. Can you get them off the field? Can you get the offense sitting down and get their defense out there and tiring them out? Sanford, I believe it was Sanford. They were a team when they came in, like I believe it was them, not good against the run and actually held up okay. And so it worked out for them a little bit for a while. So that's going to be the biggest key. Anytime someone wants to run up tempo, get them off the field. And that's the goal every single week, but even more so when it's a team that wants to go fast.
I had to ask you some questions on the news from yesterday around Trey. And third quarterback now, we mentioned it a lot in our opening segment. You feel bad for the kid, for the guy, because when you're number 3 overall pick, you feel like I'm going to be given a chance. They're going to give me every opportunity to succeed. They want me to succeed. Unfortunately, the injury last year, and then Brock Purdy, too, doing what he did and taking advantage of his opportunity, just has kind of left Trey now in a really weird spot. He's named the number 3 quarterback. He wasn't at practice yesterday. How do you think, first off, what do you just think he's going through, and what was your reaction to the news yesterday?
Well, I guess my reaction, I wasn't completely shocked because of what we had heard. Now, that's not because I think Trey Lance is the 3rd quarterback on that team. I just think everything we had heard coming out of camp, even before camp, is, they like Sam Darnold. Brock Purdy's going to be the guy. It just seemed like everything was kind of pointing that direction. He has one, kind of iffy game, that first preseason game, and everyone's already kind of writing him off as a bust. I mean, I'm sure it's tough. I can't imagine. Obviously I wasn't in that. I know I played in the NFL, but I was never the 3rd overall pick, and especially playing at, the most highly scrutinized position maybe in all of sports at the quarterback position. So I know he's probably going through some things. I feel like if you're Trey, you still have to bet on yourself. You still, whether it's with the 49ers or whether it's with another team, I still have to bet on myself. He really hasn't been given that chance yet. He really hasn't. I mean, that's
was supposed to have it last year, and then the injury.
Exactly. So that injury was, and I know we talked about it a year ago. I mean, that was such a disappointment, such a horrible thing for him to go through, and more so maybe than even others because of the fact that he just needed to play. He needed to be given that chance, and they had said that, we're going to ride the ups and downs with this guy this year. He's going to be our guy, and then an injury happens, and then we know the rest. The rest is history. So it's unfortunate. But still, like I said, bet on yourself. I feel like there's got to be a team out there. I know you guys were talking about it. Like, if he can get somewhere where he can play, he can get on the field and still prove it. I don't know how you can label him as a bust when he's played like 4 games or started 4 games. He hasn't really had that chance yet. So he'll get that chance somewhere. It's unfortunate right now. Now I know the discussion is, they expect him to play in this last preseason game. Should he not? My personal opinion, I think he should. Go show teams why they should come get you. Go show teams why they should give you another chance. But I also understand the other side of it. This team's given up on me. I don't want to risk an injury. So it's one of the more interesting dynamics around the quarterback. You almost never – I mean, how many times have we sat here and talked about an NFL team with 3 different quarterbacks? It never happens. You talk about quarterback battles, 1 or 2 – they got 3 guys there, and one of them is a 3rd overall pick that you gave up. You swapped a 1st round and you gave up 2 others and a 3rd round pick for. It's an interesting scenario, and makes it even more interesting that it's surrounding a Bison guy.
Probably the only time we've ever cared who the QB2 is.
Yeah,
everyone's saying, "Are you going to announce who your 2nd quarterback is?" And that never happens.
Probably the first time that question's ever. Well, maybe not ever, but one of the first times in a while, at least, where the question is not who's your starter week 1. It's who's your backup week 1. That was posed to Kyle Shanahan there in the press room.
Yeah, no, it's not as simple as just who's the guy and who's the odd man out. It was a 3-car race, and I think it's interesting too, Kyle. You mentioned that not a bust because it's too early, but just the Niners situation just didn't work out. That was the only thing that didn't work out here. So we'll see what ends up happening if there's a trade suitor. I mean, I said it earlier, roulette chip, right? You take a flyer on this guy, you take a late round draft pick. There are many suitors out there. I kind of like that Seattle idea. We were talking about that yesterday, Andy. That Seattle with Geno Smith right now. You look at somebody. Why not take a long-term investment on him? Or even when you look at the Broncos there with Sean Payton. There's no telling what's going to happen for Russ this year, right? I mean, last year was a struggle. I think the hope there is that he can turn it around. But there are teams that need a quarterback. And
Tampa Bay. There's a ton of them that. Not a ton. There's teams that need a quarterback or Minnesota. At least be willing to. Minnesota's absolutely. Ian Rappaport mentioned them right when they broke the news. It's like one team that could look at him is Minnesota. It's difficult because it's after the draft now, and they drafted a quarterback. They have Nick Mullins, but Kirk Cousins in the last year of his deal, absolutely for a 6th-round pick. For a guy that was a number 3 overall pick, I'd be willing to take that gamble. I want to ask you too, though, on it. Since you played in the NFL, you went through the transition. How old were you when you went to the NFL?
I was
24?
I was 23, turned 24 during camp.
Okay.
Good question, yeah.
So for you, I'm sure your head was spinning. The speed of the game changes. Everything. It's a lot at your age. Trey was 20, about to turn 21 when he was drafted. Wasn't old enough to buy a beer, basically. He's still just 23. So, and we're so quick in today's society. He's a bust. He played 2 games. He didn't work. He's a bust. Move on, right? I mean, he's 23. He's still learning this, and he hasn't played much at all. He's still learning this game. I think he's got to go somewhere where he's going to be given a chance that a team says, we're going to be bad. You're going to be bad some games. You're going to be great some games. We're going to ride the highs and lows a little bit and let you play and see if you can do it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. He came into the league, he had a redshirt year at NDSU. He plays 1 year, and everyone knows this already, but, he plays 1 year. Then he basically kind of has a redshirt year in the NFL as well, gets a chance to start. I mean, he hasn't played a ton at the quarterback position. COVID threw a lot of that off. And so I know, you could make the argument maybe he should have stayed another year, but when you're looking at, I believe he got $22 million guaranteed. I mean, I know he's a competitor and he's going to want to compete on the field, but you just look at that. I mean, that's life-changing money instantly that he got no matter what happens. So you can't fault him for leaving early. But it seems like, and Dan Orlovsky, who's actually on our TVs here, he was talking about this morning in terms of, and you played the quarterback position, so I gotta trust the guy's opinion, but you have to play the position, especially the quarterback position. You have to be given the chances to fail, to succeed, to learn this, to learn protections, to learn what you have to do as a leader in an NFL locker room, and it just hasn't happened yet for him. So, and you're 100% right, Andy. I mean, we live in a society, not society, but we live as a fandom when we look at the NFL in terms of, all right, you were drafted high. Here's a couple games in Trey's instance. Here's a couple games, and you weren't good, so we're just gonna write you off.
You should automatically be good, right?
Yeah, you should automatically be good, and that's what they were talking about with Anthony Richardson. Should he play this year? Should he sit?
They're gonna let him take his lumps,
and they're gonna let him do it. But after 7-8 games, if he's not good, are we gonna label him a bust as well, or are we gonna give him a chance to grow? The NFL, a lot of times, it's win now, and because it's it's different in college when you can kind of develop these people. They're always looking to replace you, and so it just seems like if you aren't good right away, the fans at least usually want to move off, and that's kind of what happened here with Trey. And the 49ers didn't help the fact that they kind of you've signed Sam Darnold, you basically grant Brock Purdy the right. He's going to be the starter before you even get into the offseason. So it was just. I mean, that situation just it kind of unraveled in a way that I don't think anyone could have predicted.
And Brock Purdy's a perfect example because he played a bunch of years in college. He had a ton of games.
Yeah,
he came out at, 24 he
All-timer.
was, 24 or 25. He's more seasoned. He's seen more things. He's just, Trey's last year would have been a 22-year-old playing against 29, 30, 31, like just physically more developed and mentally so much more into the game. It's a tough spot to come in for any rookie quarterback to have success right away.
Yeah, so many layers to the situation. And we'll end up seeing what happens in the next chapter, and it kind of starts on Friday with that preseason game against the Chargers. We'll see if Trey plays or not.
Ironically enough.
Yeah, that was a great point earlier, Andy. Great point, man, about that. Kyle Emanuel with us in our First Western Bank Broadcast Center. I'd like to remind you that this 12 p.m. hour of the Insiders on this fine Thursday is presented by our friends at Hanson Runswold Funeral Home. Hanson Runswold Funeral Home proudly supports the Bison and is dedicated to helping families look to the future with hope. And remember, what we do today shapes our memories for tomorrow. Enjoy the Bison experience and live life to the fullest from Hanson Runswold Funeral Home. We step aside. When we come back, playing a little buy or sell, Micah will cook up another batch of questions for us, and we'll see where we land on some of the hot topics in the sports world right now. More to come here on The Insiders.
You've got The Insiders on your Bison Nation station, Bison 1660.
Cullen Insulation is dedicated to quality from start to finish, so you have nothing to worry about all year long when it comes to your residential or commercial project. As your local Owens Corning certified energy expert, Cullen Insulation will help make your home quiet, comfortable, and energy smart. Simple home insulation solutions that improve the way you live every day. Cullen Insulation, online at culleninsulation.com. That's culleninsulation.com.
Hey Bison Nation, it's Kyle Emanuel, and I found out firsthand that determining what insurance plan you need can actually be easy. You just need someone that you trust. That's why I use the good neighbors over at the Ryan Kill State Farm Agency. There was nothing hard, overwhelming, or frustrating about it. We talked about my priorities and what I cared about protecting the most. He gave me his recommendations and I decided what made the most sense for me. No pressure, no hidden agenda, just one good neighbor looking out for another.
If you want a good neighbor on your sideline, reach out by going to RyanKillInsurance.com. CornerstoneBank.com.
If there's one thing I know about farmers, it's that they are resilient. This is Scott Zolandic with Cornerstone Bank. Farmers are known to rise to ever-changing challenges, whether it be higher land prices and rent costs, risk management, or diversification. Cornerstone Bank offers an experienced team that you can turn to. If you're looking to save, borrow, or spend, Cornerstone Bank will find the best financial options for business, ag operations, and your personal needs. Come see us at Cornerstone Bank.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home proudly supports the Bison and appreciates the commitment each student makes to its success. Whether in the arts or other campus activities, these students are our country's future and deserving of our support. Hanson Runsvold is dedicated to helping families look to the future with hope and remember what we do today shapes our memories for tomorrow. Add the Bison experience and live life to the fullest. Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home, an experienced and caring staff with a distinct attention to detail.
So most companies claim they have good people, good product, good customer service, but the question is how often. We go the extra mile to take care of our dealers and our growers, and more importantly, their families and their customers.
Proceed tries to bring a family-like experience. Farmers, we want to understand what their challenges are. We also want to bring products to them that help them overcome those challenges so that they can be as successful as possible.
Need seed, think Proceed. Proceed.net, great seed at a reasonable price.
33 years and counting. CI Sport, #1 for corporate, resort, collegiate, and high school apparel. We've partnered with college bookstores, high schools, and retailers to bring you high-quality game day apparel. Whether for work or play, every day is game day at CI Sport. With brands you love like Nike, Ozio, Under Armour, and the CI Sport brand. With competitive pricing and fast turnaround times, we help you play harder, work harder, and cheer harder in style. CI Sport, 2121 43rd Street in Fargo and CISport.com.
Attention! Are you an electrical journeyman or apprentice? Then we want you. JDP Electric is looking for journeymen and apprentices, and we're hiring immediately. JDP offers competitive pay, incentives, and a fun team to work with. If you're not happy where you're at, we'll make it worth your time to check out why you should join the JDP team. JDP is a family-owned and operated business that's been around this region for over 20 years. Apply online at jdpelectric.net. Start your new tomorrow today. Come be a part of the JDP difference.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Sunny skies and a high near 87 degrees for your Thursday and a north wind 6 to 10 miles per hour. And tonight temperature going to dip to around 65 degrees, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms overnight.
This weather update brought to you by Feed My Starving Children. Make history in 2024. Get your employees involved with Feed My Starving Children Fargo Pack when it moves to the Fargo Dome. It's a great team-building event. Learn more at fargopack.org.
Hail the Bison right here, your home for NDSU sports. This is Bison 1660.
Here with you in our First Western Bank Broadcast Center. If you love Bison football like we do, you're going to love this. Introducing the Bison credit card featuring cashback rewards and no annual fee only at First Western Bank. First Western Bank and Trust and the Bison. With that Bison credit card, you can bank on us. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. We were out there earlier this week. It was a great spot out there.
It was wonderful. This is my first time on campus with students buzzing around, which was pretty cool to see. We talked a lot about that, so glad that school's back in session for NDSU and the football season right around the corner. We will have a chance for you to win tickets to the opener in Minneapolis later. In fact, we're going to do it after this segment. So after this segment, we're going to do Bison football trivia. So there's your cue. If you want to get in line after this segment, 701-476-1660. And that'll be ready for you if you want to have a chance at going to U.S. Bank. But first, we're going to play Buy or Sell, brought to you by Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty. Looking to buy or sell your home, Todd Cattermas is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Call 701-371-4234 or visit Todd at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo to get started. All right, going to do a little three-man buy or sell. Kyle Emanuel here with us. Had a good time with this last week. Had some good differing of opinions, and Mr. Micah Bindi has got the batch of questions ready to rock and roll.
The hot topic of yesterday, today, and the future for the San Francisco 49ers and locally here in Fargo, Trey Lance officially been slotted as QB3. Buy or sell Trey Lance should not play in tomorrow's preseason game versus the Chargers? Who would like to start?
I'll take it first. I am going to. You said should not.
Should not play.
Should not. I liked what you said earlier about go out, prove your worth. I think that's kind of courageous too. I think it shows a little moxie, a little bet on yourself. So I'm gonna sell it. I think why not go out there and prove your worth.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I kind of already answered this one a little bit earlier. So sorry, Micah, for stealing your buy or sell question there. But yeah, I'm going to sell it. I think he should play, and I can understand both sides of the argument. But what was I just talking about? What were we just talking about in segment 4? He hasn't had a lot of reps. He hasn't seen a lot of pictures. Trey Lance himself came out with a quote. It's like, every time I play, I see more pictures. I learn more. I feel like I'm getting more comfortable. The guy needs to see some reps. He needs to see some live game reps. And why not? Just go. If the 49ers truly are going to trade him, and if he's not going to be there anymore, why not just give him one more little. I mean, technically it's not a slap in the face because it'll actually be helping them get him maybe more draft capital if he has a good game. But I think he should go out there and play. And as a competitor, I think he would want to. But I know that there's more to it than just that.
I'll make it a clean sweep. I'll sell it too. I think he should play because the same reason you guys are saying. He just needs to see more snaps. And it's going to be against some second stringers because Brock Purdy's not playing in this game for the 49ers. But, it'll help him. It'll be good for him to get out there and see some more live reps, see some more pictures. You throw the passes, just have some game reps under his belt. Maybe good for the 49ers if he can build up his value at all. I don't think you're not moving another pick up the ladder from a 6th to a 5th because he has a good preseason game. I wouldn't think, but maybe it helps them too. But at the same time, I'll also say I'll buy that he should be asking for a trade at the same point. If you're going to be the third and you're making me the third here, they might say, well, some games you'll be the backup. It doesn't really matter. You're just placating me. You're kind of stringing me along at that point. I'd stop short of demanding a trade, but I'd go in there and say, okay, you guys made your decision. I respect it 100%. I want another chance somewhere else. I'd also be doing that if I were you.
Buy or sell Trey Lance will be a 49er throughout the 2023 NFL season.
Sell. Not going to be a 49er. He'll be...
Even with John Lynch saying... We plan on keeping him?
Yeah, I think he has to get out of there.
Everybody has said that. That happens all the time. We're not trading anybody. We're not trading. It just happened a couple weeks ago. Jim Irsay,
yeah.
We're never trading Jonathan Taylor. Foot in the ground. He's going nowhere. And now he's been given permission to at least seek
until
a
Tuesday.
Trade.
Until this upcoming Tuesday.
They gave him until Tuesday.
We'll see.
Find a suitor.
It still doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I'll sell it. I don't think he'll be there. No, the one point to this is it kind of depends what the 49ers ask for him. If it's a 5th or 6th round pick, yeah, I think absolutely. I think someone should go take a chance. Why not? And a guy that, almost everyone at least had him in as a first rounder. You might not have had him at 3rd overall, but if you can get a guy of that caliber who just needs a chance to play, and you can get him for a 5th or 6th round pick, yeah, absolutely. Now, if the 49ers are asking for something more, and I know this is different than a running back position, but that's what the Jonathan Taylor situation is, right? I don't know if we're going to get a 1st round pick for him, and then we have to extend him. It depends what the 49ers ask for him, but I think at this point they're ready to move on. He's ready to move on, so I'll sell it.
I'll sell it. I think he gets traded either here in the next, if he's not traded in the next week before the season gets going, then he's traded at the deadline. Someone who's having a bad year or someone who maybe just wants to take a flyer on somebody like that, he could get traded at the deadline too, possibly. I don't think he's going to be one the whole season. It just doesn't make sense for them. The other thing is they have Brandon Allen too. So in terms of that quarterback 3 emergency quarterback thing, they could trade Trey, and then they have Brandon Allen, who's been a backup for Cincinnati. They can make their emergency quarterback if needed.
Hindsight is 20/20 for the Minnesota Twins. They got swept in a 2-game series for the Milwaukee Brewers. The bullpen continues to struggle in the second half of the season. Buy or sell, the Twins should have gotten more arms in the bullpen before the trade deadline.
Buy. I'm going to go first on this one. I haven't done a Rickoffs rant in a long time, Kyle. A really long time. Mainly because I said what the Twins do.
I think you had a mini one a couple days ago.
A couple days ago?
Yeah.
Maybe even yesterday.
Just
a little
small
mini
one.
one. But what they do in the division doesn't matter because the division's so awful, no one's going to catch them. Nobody has the horses to catch what the Twins can do, even if they just play 500 baseball the rest of the way. But they should have gotten more bullpen help. It doesn't cost much. You can get a guy who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. You give up your 60th prospect for him. That guy who's never going to see the field more than likely for you in the major league level. You give them up, you get a decent arm. They should have gotten out and at least gotten some legitimate bullpen help. That's the very least they should have done.
I think there's some sort of saying, the only thing worse than wrong action is inaction. And that's what the Minnesota Twins did this past July at the MLB trade deadline by not getting anything. I mean, with this team, too, they can't hit for beans. So you might as well double and triple down on your strengths, which is at least your starting pitching. Give yourself some complimentary help in the back end. Duran's an okay guy, right? Unable to hold down the fort there in Milwaukee yesterday. Buy this all the way. Total mistake. Inaction by Minnesota. Should have at least gotten a couple of pieces. Whether it's another 7th or 8th inning guy, somebody who could bridge your gap. That was a mistake by Minnesota, and hopefully it doesn't end up costing them when they do find a way to the playoffs, because, as Andy said, nobody's going to flag them down to the Central. They will have a spot. There is a spot at the table for them in the AL. But if they want to be at least competitive in a wild card or even divisional series, God forbid they end up making it, it would have served them well to have a couple of extra arms there in the back end.
Are we overreacting to one game, or is this like a trend?
Well, it's been an issue for like
Total
a month.
Trend, yeah.
A month. They blew the last 2 games because of the bullpen and because Rocco Baldelli's an idiot and decides to pull his starter after 5 innings. One game when he only had 78 pitches and go to the bullpen, that's been bad. But it's been a thing really since end of July, even right around the trade deadline.
I'm trying to think of a way where I can't, so we don't go a clean sweep.
Yeah, we're about to sweep all 3. Yeah,
I really. My initial reaction was, buy. They should have added some more. I'll sell it just to be different. I think the one thing we're overlooking, and I know Andy, I'd probably agree with you. It wouldn't cost a ton, but there are some logistics involved. What are you going to give up? Who's available? And you guys probably know that better than me. But it's always easy to sit, as Micah mentioned, and go in hindsight. Well, you should have done this. You should have done that. I think it's a little more complicated when it gets down to the trade deadline. Pitching was, I know it's more starting pitching, but pitching was their, that was their bread and butter, at least, especially early on in the first half of the season. It seemed like we were more concerned about hitting. So, again, it's easy at this point to say, you should have, but it's a little more difficult when you get into the nuts and bolts of it.
If I were to make an argument for them, my argument would be they have so many good starters. Like, they're going to make the playoffs, and then when you get to the playoffs, what they're going to do is Bailey Ober's going to go to the bullpen.
Yeah.
Kenta Maeda, who's done a lot of bullpen stuff in his career, might go to the bullpen, and then you're not going to somebody else. You're going to Maeda in the 6th or Ober in the 6th, and he's going to give you, 2 innings of work, and then you're going to Duran or Jax or whoever. You're going to bridge that gap in the playoffs differently than the regular season because nobody does a 5-man rotation in the postseason. You go 3, max 4 guys in the postseason.
Tour Championship is starting today. That's golf for those who don't know. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Victor Hovland holding the top 3 odds to win the FedEx Cup. Buy or sell one of those 3 golfers wins the FedEx Cup champion.
Who are the 3 again?
Victor Hovland, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy.
When's the last time Rory's won anything?
Well, he won the Tour Championship, I believe, a year ago.
Okay. That's the one where he passed Greg Norman, I believe, right?
Yes, and that might have been in Canada as well. Victor Hovland, Scotty Scheffler, Rory Mac. Obviously the one that you would think is not thrown in there is John Rahm. Now, Rahm has been struggling a little bit. And for those who don't know, in the Tour Championship, Scotty Scheffler's starting at 10 under. Victor Hovland, I believe, is at 8 under. Rory's at 6. So there is a little bit of an advantage there. This isn't like a normal tournament. I think that's hard to overcome, especially as well as those 3 are playing. It seems like for whatever reason, Rory hasn't been able to get a major, but he does really well in these types of events. He's been playing well. Victor Hovland just broke a course record to win last week on Sunday, shooting a 61. I think it's going to be tough to overcome. Not only the fact that those 3 are playing really well, the fact that Scotty Scheffler gets to start 10 under, you can kind of eliminate. There's only 30 guys in this, I believe. You can kind of almost eliminate at least half of them.
So then, after Victor Hovland, the next highest is John Rahm. He starts at 6 under, so he's 4 shots behind.
He's already 4
Scotty
shots
Scheffler. Patrick Cantlay's at 4 under. Max Homa's at 4 under. Lucas Glover's at 5 under. Fitzpatrick's at 4 under. Schauffele's at 3 under. So they've got some serious ground to make up there. I'm going to sell it, though. I'm going to go off on a limb. This is what we did for the PGA.
Then?
This is the PGA picks, right? We kind of had a wild card, and it happened all the time. Who was the guy that Chris drafted?
Brian Harmon.
That came on. He's starting at 4 under as well. I'm going to go with the guy that won a major this year. Wyndham Clark.
Where's he starting at?
4 under.
Wyndham Clark is 4 under. starting. He's even through 1 hole. But Colin Morikawa, a hot start for him. Currently 5 under, 4 under today through 7 holes.
Okay.
Good start for Colin Morikawa.
You know, Scotty Scheffler is on like his putting hasn't been great, but his I don't even know what the stats called, like strokes gained, approach or whatever. Like his ball striking is unbelievable. If his putter's even average with a 2-shot lead, it's going to be tough to overcome.
See, I'm going to be a total buzzkill here because I don't know any golf. I'm not a golf guy, so I'm not going to try and be somebody that I'm not. We were talking in the break about hockey. I don't know anything much about hockey, or I don't know anything much about golf. You sniped me, Andy. I'm going to buy. Let me take the field here because it has been such a wild card year out there on the course. I was going to say Wyndham, but give me Wyndham Clark as a representation, right? The unknown.
You're taking the field.
Give me the field outside of those three.
Selling.
I'm selling that those guys are going to be, one of those three will be the winner.
Scotty didn't win a major, right?
Correct.
Because Rahm got the Masters.
Rahm got the Masters. Brian Harmon.
Wyndham
Clark. And
Brooks.
Oh, Brooks, yeah. PGA. Yeah.
Yep.
Since we have donuts in studio today.
Shout out Nick and Mary, Savage, Minnesota.
Buy or sell, jelly-filled donuts are better than cream-filled donuts.
Sell.
Your reasoning?
Cream-filled.
Yeah.
I just had a cream-filled donut, and it was phenomenal. I actually meant to come back in here and tell you guys how good it was. I'm not a big fan. I don't know why. That's just me. This is just personal preference. I'm not a huge fan of the jelly-filled donuts. I never have. Since a kid, I'd actually rather have no filling than jelly filling.
Me neither. I am a cream over jelly all day long. And I'm not a huge donut guy, and I ended up eating 3 of them before the show, which is crazy. Yes. You know, I was off my rocker a little bit.
Football season here.
Yeah, the sugar rush has gone down. But yeah, I don't know why a jelly donut. Jelly to me, I like jelly on a good English muffin or like a good piece of toast with breakfast in the morning. So I don't know. Maybe I just don't like it.
No,
with my
jelly
donut.
filled is the best. Jelly filled is better than cream. I'm with you,
Yeah.
Mike. It's all about the jelly filled.
side.
Jelly filled, like you said, it's good for the breakfast time. You get some grape or strawberry jam on a piece of toast. It's just like that. But I will say, this is a dumb question because they all pale in comparison to the bacon maple Long John. It's got protein on it as well, so it's healthy because it's got bacon.
It's healthy, huh?
Yep.
Healthy with bacon.
And whoever made
Same
these ones,
sentence.
shout out to you at Sandy's because you loaded the bacon on them. There was
this
quite
was
a bit.
It was a mountain of bacon.
This is a good lineup.
Last one from me. Kirk Cousins has a handlebar mustache due to members of the Vikings agreeing to create Mustache Monday. Buy or sell, we will see another alter ego of Kirk Cousins after we saw Kirko Chains last season.
Ooh.
So Mustache
Kirko
Monday?
handlebar? Yeah, what do they do?
So
Every
they're cutting
Monday?
him in on Monday and then getting rid of him on Tuesday?
I don't know, no, because Kirk has had it even today, so he still has the handlebar. It started on Monday.
Does like a new player have one every Monday? Like a new guy gets added to the club?
I've seen like a group of them, they just start with it.
Okay.
Maybe they go. Maybe we'll see next week, but maybe Kirk has a different style of mustache.
Yeah, the chains was crazy, and as we learned from the quarterback documentary, Mr. Coles, Mr. Dad style for Kirk, that's kind of his MO. I think he's going to kind of embrace that further this year. So yeah, I'll sell that we don't see any alter ego, but I'd be all here for it.
I'll buy it. We're going to see Kirko handlebars. It's not to be anything. It can be Kirko. It's Kirko change. You just change it from change to like Kirko handlebar or sideburns, or I think he'd look really good with the curlier mustache.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it as well. Like you said, with the Coles, with the I mean, who saw the chains coming? I mean, I don't think anyone. Kirk Cousins might be the last person in the NFL you'd expect to be rocking a chain and dancing on a plane with the shirt off. We saw that a year ago. He just had the quarterback this is potentially his last year. I think he's going to have some fun with it. It might be handlebar Kirk. It might be something else that we can't even predict at this point, but I think we're going to see something from Kirk Cousins in his farewell with the Vikings.
All it takes is just one popular social media post, and someone cues up the name, and then he's Cowboy
Doesn't
Kirk.
take a lot.
Comes in a cowboy hat and maybe just like a whole cowboy getup. Cowboy Kirk for the 2023 season.
Got the flannel holes.
He does. It's a power of social media, like we were talking about with the Super Bowl performances, the halftime memes. Like this stuff can have legs and run with it.
I got one more for you guys.
I have one too, but you go first.
This is from our friend who called in earlier, Jim and Lamore. Also texted in 701-476-1660. Has North Dakota State become the FCS version of Ohio State when it comes to quarterbacks? I think the insinuation there is a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks have been drafted high and not had a lot of success at the NFL level. Is NDSU coming into that version? I will go first. I will sell it because NDSU quarterbacks have had success. Carson Wentz was going to be an MVP, and then he got hurt at the end of the season. He had a ton of success that year. Injuries derailed some things, so I'll sell it. And Easton 6 having a ton of success right now.
Yeah, I would sell it too, simply because the Ohio State quarterback narrative has always been they put up these huge numbers in college and they've got all this talent around them, right? The NDSU QBU I think is a little different, where it's like coming from NDSU, it's a cool story, right? It's this dominant program that everybody knows about, but it's not an Ohio State high-flying, spread offense. I'll sell that. I think it's a good point. Yeah, Carson had a tremendous year before he got hurt with Philly. Easton has shown some really good things with Los Angeles so far. It's like a modern tradition of quarterbacks too. It's just kind of come into the fold. Yeah, I'll sell that. I don't think it's quite 100% parallel.
I'll tell you guys what I would buy. I think that's pretty cool that we can even have that conversation.
Great, yeah.
What other FCS school could you even throw into that conversation? I mean, the fact that NDSU has 3 different quarterbacks in the NFL at the same time coming from an FCS school, yeah, and I'll sell it as well, though. I don't think you can make that comparison for a lot of things you just said there, Sam. Ohio State, you're running around with 5-star recruits. You can make the argument for Carson, obviously an MVP, won a Super Bowl. I just think they've run into some really tough scenarios. I really think if Carson stays another year in Indy, another 2-3 years in Indy, and you probably know this, like he was 27-7, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Like I know there were some bad moments, but it was his first year there, and they just kind of gave up to him. I think Jim Irsay is off his rocker a little bit. Sorry, Sam. He's doing some weird things.
We get it.
At this point, yeah. As you mentioned, I mean, who knows what we're going to see from Easton Stick? He's going to be a backup this year, but we know it just takes one play. I think it's too soon to say there, but like I said, I will buy the fact that it's pretty cool that we can even have that conversation.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Here's my buy or sell. There's a good one to end on. Buy or sell, Andy and I will wear these same shirts again for a 3rd straight time.
Absolute buy. 2 in 2 weeks. It's not like a coincidence now. I think there's some coordination, whether there's a telepathy, there's some sort of connection that we got between those 2 seats right now. You guys are going to dress the same again.
How many shirts do you guys have that are the same? I guess I need to know that before I
feel like we have
answer.
a few. You were wearing that olive hoodie, that cool olive. I got that too in my gear.
The other green one you did not get, right? The green Bison basketball one.
Yes, the one that we had the huge debate about.
We're talking like 2 or 3 of the same shirts, 4 or 5.
Yeah, probably a couple of polos and like a hoodie and maybe one other. So maybe 4 things we have the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it, especially coming up. It's football season. You guys are gonna be rocking Bison gear for sure. It's bound to. Andy and I did it a couple times, and I had like one piece of 1660 gear that matched his, and we did it 2 or 3 times
I
during
should
the
wear
summer.
that piece because he doesn't have that.
So I'm going to buy it. Absolutely, that's going to happen again. And I look forward to seeing that picture on Twitter.
All right. Well, we'll see. I think now Andy and I are going to be like, tentative, right? Like we're going to be like reaching for the closet. We're like, I don't know. Like, and I should have known that. I hadn't seen you wear it this week, so I should have known.
So earlier this week when we were at our good friends with First Western Bank over by campus, I knew we were going to be out together, and I purposely did not wear this one or another one that we had gotten that I know you also have. I picked a polo that we got a couple of years ago that I know you don't have. I'm like, he doesn't have this one.
It's impossible.
Sure. So
it's in the back of our minds.
It is in the back of my mind.
It's in the back of our minds. We're paying rent. So, wow. All right, good stuff, Micah. Well done. Another batch. A little more clean sweep today, but another fun round of buy or sell presented by Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty. All right, we are going to play Bison football trivia in the next segment. So now's your time to call in. If you want a chance at winning tickets to the season opener in Minneapolis at US Bank Stadium, 2 tickets up for grabs. All you got to do is answer a multiple choice trivia question. Going to get that in here at the end of the show. Call in right now. Phone line's already jumping. 701-476-1660. Get in line. If you get there first, you might have a chance at winning. We're playing a little Bison football trivia in the next segment to give you a chance to win free tickets to the season opener in Minneapolis.
A sports talk station that Bison Nation deserves. Bison 1660.
Another season of Bison football is upon us, Bison Nation, and you can count down to kickoff of Week 1 versus Eastern Washington with us on our website, Bison1660.com, courtesy of the Bud Light Countdown Clock. The Bison are looking to get back on top of the Missouri Valley Football Conference and be crowned champions of the FCS for their 10th time in school history. And nothing goes better with Bison football than a nice cold Bud Light. Join us in getting ready for the 2023 season of Bison football with Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bison.
At Cardinal IG, they don't just create innovative glass solutions, they foster a culture of collaboration and teamwork. Their employees bring a wealth of experience and expertise to every project and deserve to be celebrated. This August, Cardinal IG would like to shine the spotlight on Ollie Noor, who is celebrating 20 years, Okabai Eaves celebrating 10 years, Taiwu Solomon and Daniel Mawa both celebrating 5 years at Cardinal IG. From the entire team, thank you. To view open positions or to apply, visit CardinalFargo.com. Harvest season is right around the corner. It's time to get your equipment in gear. Horn Plastics marks 40 incredible years in the business, so why trust anyone else? They've got the inventory and unbeatable discounts to make sure your trucks are ready to roll, including their game-changing Super Slide bedliners, the secret to smoother operations and protected cargo. Built tough, built durable, the Super Slide bedliners are engineered to last, saving you time and money. Join the countless satisfied customers who have trusted Horn Plastics over the years. To learn more, visit hornplastics.com.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
There's no need to fight. There's now Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey available. It's made with whiskey in real brewed tea. It'll take your taste buds on a wild ride that's smooth and sweet. Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey can make anyone a whiskey fan. 32.5% alcohol, 65 proof. Pick up a bottle and feel Twisky today with Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey. Businesses should know that Consolidated Communications has the only data center in the FM area that is SOC 2 certified. That means Consolidated has tested reliable systems in place to protect your valuable data. That's more important than ever with today's security concerns. Many business insurance companies require SOC certification at data storage facilities. You should work with a local data center that is SOC 2 certified. For scalable, cost-effective data center solutions for your changing business needs, go to consolidated.com/data center.
Attention! Attention! It's time for the August tire sale at Schumacher Goodyear in Fargo. It's the best tire sale of the year, and it's happening now at Schumacher Goodyear. Buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Over 10 brands of tires, including Goodyear, Cooper, Falcon, and Hankook. All tires are buy 3, get 1 free. For over 25 years, this has been the tire sale that vehicle owners wait all year for. Buy 3, get 1 free, only at Schumacher Goodyear, off 13th Avenue South in Fargo.
At Dakota Underground, they value family and teamwork. And for over 40 years, they've remained at the top of the industry. This wouldn't be possible without the dedicated employees who are considered to be family. Like the Bison, Dakota Underground is proud of their accomplishments and know that their success comes from working with the best of the best and settling for nothing less than superior work and service. Dakota Underground, proud member of this community for 4 decades and proud member of Bison Nation. To see open positions or previous projects, visit DakotaUnderground.net.
Inside 10, what a move, cutting to the end zone, touchdown.
September 2nd, NDSU kicks off the 2023 football season at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Our Bison 1660 coverage will be live from Day Block Brewing Company, blocks away from the stadium, giving you all the pregame information you need up to kickoff between the Bison and Eastern Washington. Hang out with us on Saturday, September 2nd at Day Block Brewing Company in Minneapolis as we open up the 2023 season.
Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home proudly supports the Bison and appreciates the commitment each student makes to its success. Whether in the arts or other campus activities, these students are our country's future and deserving of our support. Hanson Runsvold is dedicated to helping families look to the future with hope and remember what we do today shapes our memories for tomorrow. Add the Bison experience and live life to the fullest. Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home, an experienced and caring staff with a distinct attention to detail.
Rice Companies understands that strong buildings and strong communities start with strong connections. They know the importance of every bolt, every beam, and every handshake. Every connection must be strong. When you work with Rice Companies, you're building on more than concrete and steel. You're building on knowledge and expertise with people you can trust. People who value your investment as much as you do. Connect with Rice Companies, your local Butler builder, and experience the difference strong connections can make for your business. Learn more and see career opportunities at ricecompanies.com.
2 hours of sports talk every weekday, 11 to 1.
Well. Oh, my gracious.
Now, let's get back to the Insiders.
Last segment of the day here on the Insiders. Back inside our First Western Bank Broadcast Center. This hour of the Insiders brought to you by Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home. They proudly support the Bison. Hanson Runsvold is dedicated to helping families look to the future with hope. And remember, what you do today shapes your memories for tomorrow. Enjoy the Bison experience and live life to the fullest. Go Bison from Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home.
All right, boys. We ready to do this? Bison?
The fans ready to do this.
That's the biggest question. Bison football trivia. Day 3. Sam, Andy, and Michael with you. Big thanks for Kyle joining us here the last half hour or so. We've got multiple callers on the line looking for a chance to win 2 free tickets to next Saturday's season opener at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. All you got to do is answer a multiple choice trivia question correctly, and you score the tickets. So call on in if you want to get in line. 701-476-1660. You only giving away 1 pair today, 1 more tomorrow. So if we get a winner, it's over. First up, Gene in Fargo. Gene, how are you?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, Gene. You played on Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Okay. See if we can get you a little redemption here. Here's your question. Who led NDSU in rushing yards in the 2021 National Championship win over Montana State? A. Kobe Johnson, B. Quincy Patterson, C. Hunter Lipke, D. Cam Miller.
Cam Miller.
D. Cam Miller. That's your answer, Gene?
Yes.
Gene, I'm sorry, that's incorrect.
Oh, sorry.
All right, come back again tomorrow, man. One more shot for you. All righty, thanks for playing, Gene.
Don't give away the answer.
Unbelievable, he doesn't get it. We're going to get a new one for Matt in Fargo. Matt, welcome. Are you ready to go?
Yes, it was Kobe Johnson.
No. New question for you.
Come on.
Yeah. New question, but good job. Good job.
Kobe.
You're quick.
You didn't get it right.
You were quick. All right, but I like it. You got a little gumption right here. You're making me confident that you might give us the winner. All right, here we go. Your question, Matt. How many NFL draft picks has NDSU had since 2020? A3, B5, C7, or D9?
Now, does this include the 2020
this
draft?
This does include 2020.
5.
Is that your final answer, Matt?
Tuska, Lance. Yeah, that's it. 5.
That is incorrect.
Oh.
Matt, it was 7. It was 7. Tuska, Lance, Radens, Jabril Cox, Watson, Volson, and Cody Malk last year. That makes out 7. Close but no cigar. Next, tomorrow. Come back tomorrow, Matt, and we'll try and get you in, all right?
I was in at 6 there because I wasn't. Jabril escaped my mind because technically, you can make the argument one way or another. It was technically LSU last, but whatever. So I knew it was at least 6, so I would have probably gone 7.
All right, we've got Todd and Kenmare trying to go 3rd time's the charm. Todd, how are you? Welcome.
Good.
All right, you ready? You sound like you're ready to roll.
You bet.
Okay. Who scored the game-winning touchdown in NDSU's 2014 National Championship win over Illinois State? Was it A, Carson Wentz, B, John Crockett, C, Kyle Emanuel, or D, Derek Lang?
Well, we know it wasn't Kyle. I don't know if he ever scored a touchdown. So it'd be
oh, man, shots fired. Shots fired.
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz is correct, Todd. You got it. Congratulations. You just won 2 tickets to the season opener at U.S. Bank. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
All right, that was a good one for you. We will get your information. Micah, stay on the line, and Micah will take down your contact info so we can get you your tickets. Well played.
You get a little bit of a layup for him there at the end.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
The other ones are definitely. I feel bad if I'm Matt or if I'm Gene on that one a little bit. I got sniped on it because
strength of schedule might be coming into question.
As Todd said, I mean, Kyle never scored any touchdowns. Derek Lang definitely not playing anymore at that point. So.
All right. I was scrolling through the list. That was the next one on the list.
Totally
so
fine.
The luck of the draw there for Todd. He kind of gets a gimme. And we get him home there. He's going to have 2 tickets to U.S. Bank. We will play one more round tomorrow, and we will give away one last 2 pair. And there is still a good, fresh batch of questions. There's some tough ones. The NFL draft one was a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give it. That's a tough one right there, even with the multiple choice.
Because you're thinking quick on the spot. Because he probably doesn't, I don't want to wait here too long before I have to give an answer.
I think he might have forgotten like a Jabril Cox or like a Volson or a Radens, some of those guys that might not be right on the front headliners.
I think he said he forgot Radens. And you mentioned like, Radens.
Yeah. So Matt, Gene, maybe you guys get in tomorrow, have a shot at winning the tickets. If you want to play, call us tomorrow, and we'll have a chance to get you down to Minneapolis. Good stuff today. Before we wrap it up, Andy?
Keep in mind, next week we've got plenty more stops on our Bison 1660 Road Tour brought to you by The Bridges, online at bridgesnd.com. Those stops are on our website as well. You can find them there. Also, great swag from CI Sport, too. The see-through fanny packs, the tumblers, the car holders for your phone, and everything else. So make sure you check out where those stops are next week. We've got a ton of them, too. So I know we got the show tomorrow, but keep in mind for next week, as it is the week leading up to the first game.
Yeah, going to be awesome. Going to be a jam-packed week. We wrap up this week tomorrow. Going to be fun. Stan Becton, NCAA.com, will join us, talk a little college football. And Coach Entz will join us for the last time to wrap up fall camp. He will come on the show tomorrow at noon. Big thank you to Kyle for joining us earlier, as well as Larry Weir, Eastern Washington play-by-play voice. Micah, great job on the buy or sell. Andy, always a pleasure. We'll see if we twin again.
Planning on it.
TBD, 3 strikes and you're out. We might have to get rid of the shirts. But appreciate you joining us, and thanks again to Nick and Mary sending in those wonderful donuts. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your afternoon.
Now this is a blowout. Dakota Spas is ready to finish out this hot summer with a bang. On pools and spas, you can save up to 40% off. With plenty of hot days left, cool down with the pool. Or get a jump ahead of cooler temps with the new hot tub. So much inventory of both used and new at Dakota Spas. And save up to 40% off during Dakota Spas Blowout Sale. Located on the I-29 frontage road, Fargo. Dakota Spas.
Save big on Ram trucks during the Make This the Summer event going on now at